another man's name on your clothes? Like, why are you wearing? Yeah.
My sexy man, my big bad handsome man. He's got me in the palm of his hands. And he's gonna take me inside this new gate right over here with this tour crew.
Think we can fit in?
Cause he's my big bad handsome man.
Alright, let's go.
That's so cute. Taking a little detour. How to find a cafe.
Overly tight. I'm highly controlling my body doesn't use
It's the fishing corner. Andrew solo habla español. Andrew, how do you say tired? Oh, yeah. That right there is a pistol. It's a really old pistol. It's pretty cool. She got our breakfast. Eggs and like a whole bunch of dips.
Dinner.
All right. The cat is so cute. Like the cat is blended in with the stones color. All right. It's 11:12 in the morning, and I want to talk about some serious stuff today, but before I start, I just want to make myself a coffee and tell you why it feels so early in the morning, even though it's 11:12, which is kind of late. So Andrew and I have been having very like up and down sleep schedule. Hold on, I'm just gonna get a cup. Andrew and I have been having a very unorganized sleep schedule, and we've been just like staying up in the middle of the night, waking up, not being able to go to sleep at normal times, and then falling asleep in the middle of the day. Like our sleep schedule, for some reason, you know, maybe stress, maybe like just, you know, being active, going out, all these things, like it has just really affected our ability to stay consistent. So, and the thing is, like, once you kind of mess up your sleep schedule a little bit, it gets even more messed up because you're too tired to sleep at the right time that you wanted to sleep in. So let's say you're like, your sleep schedule has been all funky the past couple weeks. You've been sleeping at 2 a.m. every night, waking up at like 1 next day or something stupid like that. Let's say your sleep schedule has been all wacky. If you try to set it right one day and you're like, okay, today I'm gonna go to sleep at 9 p.m. and I'm gonna wake up at 6 a.m. the next day and I'm gonna like do this thing. It's cute. It's cute to tell yourself that you're gonna do that because your body is still gonna do what it's gonna do. And very likely your body is gonna say, no, I think I'm gonna still stay up until 2 a.m. today. And give you a hard time. And you know what we did yesterday was we said, okay, we're gonna wake up early no matter what. We woke up at like, I don't know, 8 or something. We're gonna wake up early, even though we haven't been getting good sleep, and even though our body wants to sleep until 11, 12 p.m., 1 p.m. We're gonna still wake up at a set early time. We'll wake up at like, you know, 8 a.m., whatever. and we're just gonna stay tired the rest of the day. And because we'll be so tired, our body will be forced to sleep early. Well, that's not what happened. We were so tired that day yesterday, the whole day, and then we went out for a walk. I took a bunch of like videos and cool shots of things that we did on our walk. In the old city, we went to the old city. We just like, took some pictures of cats. And what happened at the end of the day, we tried to go to sleep at 9. It didn't happen. We didn't go to sleep at 9. In fact, we ended up staying up even longer than we normally do because our sleep, our bodies were like resisting us. They were like, how dare you try to make us sleep early? Like, that's what our bodies were telling us. How dare you try to make us sleep early? So we were having even more issues. I was getting all emotional. I was like crying for no reason. My body was hurting me. I was having aches everywhere. And remember, I'm 8 months pregnant. So I was having aches everywhere. And, more than 8 months pregnant, actually. So scary. Baby's coming soon. And I put too much. Hold on. I'm just gonna put some pepper in here. I put some turmeric and cinnamon. I'm gonna add a drop of pepper. Hopefully not too much comes out. There you go. Okay. And I'm just making myself morning decaf with turmeric and cinnamon and black pepper because it's good for my nervous system. And I'm gonna have one ready for Andrew for when he wakes up, but I'm not gonna put the hot water in it so that whenever he wakes up, then I can pour in the hot water and it'll be hot. And I'm turning on the hot water for myself because I forgot to do that earlier. So last night, Andrew actually did end up falling asleep at some point. And it was like insane because usually actually Andrew falls asleep later than me. Like I have a easier time than Andrew actually, despite that I'm pregnant. I've been having an easier time than him falling asleep. He's been having a really hard time. But last night he actually fell asleep at some point. But because I was having trouble, he sensed it and he woke up. And he spent the rest of the night trying to comfort me and help me go to sleep. And by the time that I fell asleep and he was able to help me feel relaxed to go to sleep, he wasn't able to go to sleep again. So he ended up staying up until morning and just sitting at his computer and working on stuff. So that's why he's still sleeping now. It's really important if you're pregnant, if you're starting a family with anybody, it's really important as a woman to find someone who's gonna be like that for you. It's just so important, and you should never ask for anything less. Not because you're being a girl boss or you're being selfish or whatever society likes to tell young women, but because it's just not sustainable any other way. I don't know how I would be starting a family and being pregnant and doing all these things without the support of my man. Like, I don't know how I would do any of this. It's either you have a man that is just like ride or die, that does it with you, or a woman, whatever, if you're into women, or it's nothing. You don't half-ass this kind of thing. That's like the way I see it. I just can't imagine starting a family or doing like any other things that we've been doing without someone who isn't like 150% committed the way that Andrew is. Part of why I separated from people that knew Andrew, like anyone that knew Andrew before he met me, I was just like, I cannot be in any way spiritually, energetically, physically connected with any of these people, because I felt like when I met Andrew, I noticed very, very quickly early on in meeting him that the people that were in his life were very bothered by the fact that he was committed to me. It was like this tug of war, you know what I mean? And I was like, no, I can't have any of that tug of war, because I cannot be trying to lessen my relationship with him or trying to like dampen my connection with him, which I ended up doing anyways for those people, because I was like, I was guilty. Like, I felt guilty that Andrew was spending time with me and not spending time with people that he knew. People in his life, you know, especially in the beginning of our relationship, you know, I didn't know him so well, and people in his life knew him. Friends, family members, all these things, you know, those people knew him. So they had more of like a claim to him or whatever, claim to his time, or maybe they felt that. And I just felt terribly guilty that he was spending all this time with me when he had all these like very needy people in his life. Who am I? I don't need him. You know, I had just met him. And so I really, out of guilt, tried to distance from him, you know. Go spend time with your family, go spend time with your friends, all these things. And it got to a point where I realized, like, you know, I really like this guy, and like I can't be separated from him. And it really was really hard for me to admit this. Like, honestly, I only felt like I could even admit it very, very recently. Like, I just cannot be without this guy. And I'm just gonna have to accept the fact that I'm gonna take him as my ride or die person, and I'm just gonna have to accept the fact that in order to do that, that means that I'm gonna have to be a little bit mean and like really distance myself from anyone from his life that isn't on board with that. And not only anyone from his life, anyone in my life, anyone that has an issue with Andrew being like my ride or die person. Because the fact is, you literally cannot do this stuff without a ride or die person. Without someone like that is really on your team. You just can't. You could, but you're gonna create a bad outcome. And we've all seen what a bad outcome looks like in women that are stretched too thin, you know, dysfunctional families, kids that are brought up into a home where there's just like an imbalance. The parents aren't really committed, you know. I just had a friend break up with her boyfriend recently, and I'm so happy for her. Hold on. Coffee was overflowing. Like, I feel like it could have gone either way with this guy. She could have stayed with him and like demanded his commitment, his dedication, you know. Or, you know, and it could have got, you know, sometimes the guy, girls and guy as a date, you know, there's like a courting period, there's like the figuring each other out and what each other needs. So maybe she could have stuck it out with him and like become, you know, a really committed couple with each other. But this one friend that I have, she realized like a year into dating this guy that he's never gonna change for her, you know, and he's just really not into her the way that needs a guy to be into her. And the way that she needed a guy to be into her was she wanted to start a family, you know, she wanted to have kids, she wanted to travel the world, she wanted to like build businesses, like she wanted to do all this stuff that a lot of successful families are doing. She wanted to do all these things, but the guy did not want to do that. The guy wanted to, like, you know, just live on a few savings at a time just for the rest of his life, live in some like very, very cheap place and just like retire kind of thing, you know, the rest of his life, and not have kids, and, you know, maybe not even be very faithful, like to just kind of like float around. That's kind of what he wanted to do. That was his idea of like a chill, nice life. He didn't want the headache, because for a lot of people, especially in like he, in the West, for a lot of people, the idea of starting a family or starting a business or starting, falling in love, having kids, like all these things comes with like a lot of bad taste in a lot of people's mouth. It feels very daunting because they watched people do it unsuccessfully. She finally had the courage to break up with her boyfriend, and I'm very happy for her. And I'm seeing that she has so much excitement now for life because suddenly now she's able to dream about all these things again that she wanted to do. And she's beautiful. She's so gorgeous, and she's so sharp and smart, and she's young. She's my sister's age, and it's really cool and exciting to see that now she can do all these things because she can find someone that's more committed to her, that wants those things with her. When I met Andrew, I told him, I can't be with you because I want to have a lot of children and I want to have my own tribe, basically. And you already have a family, you already have children, you already have your tribe. I can't do this with you. And Andrew looked at me and he said, I can give you that. And I was like, no, you can't give me that. I was in total disbelief, really. And honestly, until I became pregnant, I was total disbelief. Until maybe a few months ago. Like, even when I became pregnant, I just couldn't believe that I would be having children. There was like this part of my brain that just believed that now that I'm with Andrew, there's like no way I can have any of these things because I was so in love with him, but yet I didn't believe that I was in total doubt and disbelief that he can provide any of these things, So, I was like, I guess, the opposite of manifesting it. But you know what? Like, if you are destined to have certain things in your life, you're going to have them no matter whether or not you believe that you will or you won't. So, but I really just deep down couldn't believe it. And yeah, here we are. Here we are. He was true. He was true to his word. But I really think as a woman, because you have such a limited biological clock, and people say the word biological clock is a bad thing to admit. They say it's like somehow bad for women. I think those people are like really stupid because it's really important as a woman to admit your biological clock. It makes your time so much more valuable. It makes it so that you just can't let people waste your time and float around. And a lot of women are doing that. They're letting men waste their time. Men are, let's just think of sperm. If men were sperm and women were eggs, sperm are being created. Trillions and trillions of sperm, like every day, are being created. New sperm. Men can go on for like years and years and years having kids. Women have like this one egg that like stays with you your whole life. It's like finite number of eggs stays with you your entire life. From the time you were conceived, you have these little eggs in your body, and they just like become less and less and less and less and less. And you watch the number of your eggs go down as you get older. They're so precious. Your eggs are so precious. They have to be guarded. And it is evil to deny that, like, to women. It's evil to say, to like try to ignore that. You know what I mean? I think that people are off their rocker when they say that you shouldn't admit that. I think they're living on a different planet. I don't even know what they're living on. But you have to admit as a woman how precious your sexuality is and the ability to start life. You have to admit how precious and special it is, and you have to guard it with everything you have. And you just can't let all the little spermies that are just like appearing every day to just willy-nilly, the 80-20 rule. 80% of men are not really meant to reproduce anyway. That's kind of how I see it. Women are all meant to reproduce. Like, we all kind of come with all the pieces. We just need to be like impregnated, right? men don't come with all the pieces, because men are supposed to prove themselves. It's, but so that's a totally different rant, totally different ramble. I just got into a different topic. So you just want to go for that 20%, and don't listen, as a woman, don't listen to anybody that says and if a guy doesn't believe that he's in the 20% and he gets mad at hearing this, then if you don't believe that you're in the 20%, then nobody can help you. You won't be, you got to believe in yourself. King David believed in himself. And the reason I'm referencing King David is because we had a whole discussion about King David yesterday, about how King David was told that he can't be anything. He's just like a short little redhead guy with a temper. He was a bastard child. That's what people in his family thought that he was. And he believed in himself, and he went after all these things. He became the king of Israel. He became like this warrior. He defeated the Goliath, So there's, if you don't believe that you're in the 20%, then nothing can help you. Like the first step is you just got to believe that you're in the 20%. And really, that's the kind of man that will work for a woman. For a man, almost any woman that is fertile will do to start a family, if that's what you want. For a woman, you need a 20%er. You need someone who can really build that for you. And it just doesn't work any other way. So anyways, I want to go on to my next most important topic, which is the off the derech stuff. Switching gears, although I have so much more to say about the whole male-female thing, but this video is supposed to be about off the derech stuff, so I'm gonna focus on the off the derech stuff, because I was just thinking about it. And it's been, so I'm 8 months pregnant. It's been 8 years. 8. I can use the number 8 again. So 8 months pregnant. It's been 8 years since I've gone off the derech. Right? 8 years. Almost 8 years. And it's been 8 or 9 weeks since we've been living in Jerusalem, me and Andrew. So, in case you didn't know my story, first of all, in case you don't know what off the derech is when Jews leave the religion. When Orthodox Jews stop being religious. That's what off the derech is. It's basically just going astray off the path. That's what off the derech is. So, usually people that use it are going to be Orthodox, because Orthodox Judaism is the only Judaism that's adhering to all these laws and stuff. The rest of other Jews are, basically people that say that they're Jewish, but they're not really doing a lot of stuff. That's how I see it. They're not really it's not like Christianity or Islam, where the more you do, the more Christian you are. You know what I mean? If you're Christian, then the way that you say that you're Christian is by believing in the stuff and doing more Christian things. With Judaism, it's not like that. With Judaism, you can say that you're Jewish and literally just do nothing for Judaism. Not even believe in God. You could be a Jewish atheist. That's how Judaism works, because Judaism it works based on your lineage. My parents or my mom is Jewish, so I'm Jewish. So my mom is Jewish, so I'm Jewish. So that's why I say that I'm Jewish. But, so anyways, off the derech is not that you're Jewish and you're not Jewish. Off the derech is that you were Orthodox, you were religious, and now you're not religious. And off the derech Jews are a very niche minority of Jews, because most Jews in the world, if you were to measure how religious they are, most Jews in the world are not religious anyway. So they were not religious anyway to begin with. So they never got the title of Af the derech because they never were religious anyway. Af the derech Jews are people that they were religious, they were Orthodox, typically, and then they stopped being Orthodox, they stopped practicing, laws of kosher, Shabbat, whatever, and then they got the label of being off the path, when most Jews were never on the path to begin with. It's just so good. Such good coffee. It's decaf. It's delicious. And I forgot to mention, for the sweetener I put Ceylon, which is date syrup. 100% dates. Like ground into this syrup thing. And then anyway. So I went off the derech like 8 years ago, and when I went off the derech, I did all the things that I went off the derech for so many reasons. Long story short, I just couldn't be who I was and be religious, be Orthodox. Even though people might forget, I was a very, very committed religious person. When I was religious, I wasn't doing rebellious things. I really wasn't. The only times I got in trouble for things were because I was covering up for somebody else, usually, whether it was in school or anything like that. Usually when I got in trouble for things, it was because I was covering up for somebody else, something that somebody else wanted to do that was violating the rules, and I was covering up for it, and then I got in trouble. But I personally always cared about the rules, and I always followed the rules. I was always a rule follower, and I was always very good at school. I was a straight A student. I memorized everything the way I was supposed to. I did all the prayers exactly like I was supposed to. I did, everything with the Shemona Esrei, with the right movements, and Shema with the right meditations. In Sephardic community, you do like this, you do Shema with your 3 fingers like this. You have special things that you think about, every single letter that you're thinking about while you're doing the meditation of Shema before you go to bed. I'm just telling you really stupid examples. I felt I was a very committed Orthodox Jew. When I was religious, I did everything exactly, and I followed the rules, and I think I burned myself out, honestly, but I cared a lot. And when I decided to go off the derech, people didn't see it coming because they really didn't expect that I would decide that I would just do this. And I did it cold turkey, where I changed my entire lifestyle overnight, literally overnight. I had sort of this loose plan in my head of how I was going to do it, and then I did it, and I did it overnight. People didn't see it coming because usually, when someone goes off the derech, you see signs, they start to rebel, they start to break the rules, you know what I mean? I wasn't breaking the rules. The rules that I was breaking, the most rebellious things that I was doing was I started reading the news. I was exposing myself more to secular culture, reading the news. I started listening to non-Jewish music, but nobody knew about that, actually. But I did start listening to non-Jewish music. I started exposing myself to secular culture. We weren't allowed to listen to non-Jewish music in my high school. So, very, very private things that I would do to expose myself. And then when I did it, when I went off the derech, I just pretty much stopped talking to my Orthodox friends. I took a break from talking to a lot of people, or I made it very cooler. I didn't stay talking to them in an intimate way the way I did before. I was in DC when I did it, so I had already moved out of my parents' house in preparation. And when I moved out of my parents' house, I also did it without telling them. I told them I was going on vacation. I went with one suitcase, told them I was going on vacation, went to New York, and then took a bus to DC, and then texted them from DC saying that I live in DC now and I have a place. Don't worry about me. So, yeah, generally speaking, I did it when I went off the derech. I did it the same way. I just, I didn't tell anyone that I was doing it initially. I went on Tinder. I said that I announced that I was looking for someone to help me lose my virginity. And I know people think that is crazy, but I was on a mission and I was gonna go off the derech very cleanly. Like, that's what I had a mission and I was gonna do it. I was very focused on this thing that I'm gonna go off the derech. I'm gonna radically change my lifestyle. And I started breaking Shabbat. I started eating bacon. I started doing all the things that I associated with being off the derech. And what I learned after, a short time of being off the derech, after, and it's been like 8 years almost, and now I'm able to reflect on it more easily, and I can say these lessons that I've learned is like, I have been off the derech for all this time, and I've been like breaking the rules, and I'm like, oh my god, I broke this rule, so I'm off the derech. But meanwhile, throughout these years, I've met so many Jews that consider themselves Orthodox Jews that are on the derech, that have never gone off the derech, that are living the exact same lifestyle that I'm living. So, one thing I learned, and I'm going to talk about this a little more, but I just learned that whether you're on the derech or off the derech, and even whether you're Jewish or not Jewish, which I'll explain in a minute, really just has to do with how you identify yourself as. Because when it comes down to the lifestyle, people's lifestyles are so variable that you can have someone who's on the derech, who considers themselves Orthodox Jewish, that is still living the same exact lifestyle as the person who's considers themselves off the derech and not religious. It's just a very interesting phenomenon. One person is just going around with a chip on their shoulder and saying, I'm a sinner, I'm breaking the rules, I'm doing everything wrong. And the other person is totally oblivious or careless to the fact that they're breaking all the rules. I remember that the same year that I went off the derech, I was in a car on Shabbat, and I've said this story probably a million times. We had just met each other, we had just come from like some event, and it was on Shabbat. And they were asking people like their backgrounds, like the driver of the car was like, oh, what are your backgrounds, whatever. And there was this girl, and she said, and I said, I guess my background is that I grew up Orthodox Jewish, but I'm not anymore, so I'm like off the derech, off the path. And so, obviously I'm sitting here and it's a car in Shabbat. There was this other girl, but I didn't say that. Obviously, I'm sitting in a car in Shabbat, but I just said that. And then there was this other girl who was like, oh, I'm Orthodox Jewish. And I looked at her and I was like, is she being serious? She was totally being serious. She's like, oh yeah, I'm Orthodox Jewish. I like moved here from whatever city and whatever. And like, the more I talked to her, the more I realized, first of all, and she's like, oh, I even have like a tattoo that says Chai. And so if you know anything about being Orthodox Jewish, it's that you are not allowed to get a tattoo. You're just not allowed to. You're not even allowed to be buried in a Jewish cemetery if you have a tattoo. She got a tattoo because she became Orthodox Jewish. And then I got to know her a little more, and I learned that she wasn't even Jewish, because the reason why she believed that she was Jewish to begin with was that her dad is Jewish, not her mom. So according to Judaism, halachic Judaism, according to Jewish law, she's not Jewish. And I met so many people like this in DC where they were like, yeah, I'm Jewish, I practice whatever. And they were not Jewish. When I talked to them a little more, and I just had to talk to them a little more because I was curious about this topic, most people won't ask. Most people won't say, if they don't even, if you're going to shul and you're hanging out with a group of people and everybody's just doing the same thing and they're all Jewish, and you're not going to go around asking people are you sure you're Jewish? Is your mom actually Jewish? Is your mom's mom Jewish? Is your mom's mom Jewish? You're not asking that. If people believe that they're Jewish, you will just accept it at face value. They're going to come to your shul, you're going to do things with them, they're going to do the things, whatever. You're going to assume that they're Jewish, and you're going to do all the things as if they're Jewish, And it was just such a realization for me that time, but even more as the years went on, that being Jewish or religious Jewish is so much really just what you identify as. Being anything, being Christian, you can say the same with any other religion. I keep using Christian as an example. My family is really into Kabbalah. All Sephardic families are, have a Kabbalistic basis, because in Iran, in a lot of the countries in the Middle East, they had Mekubalim because Ashkenazi Jews banned Kabbalah. And Sephardic Jews didn't. So in a lot of Sephardic communities, you still have a lot of rabbis that are they're both rabbis and they're esoteric leaders, which, I don't think that the two is really separated. It's kind of par for the course for being a spiritual leader, but whatever. So there's these Kabbalists found out that a lot of people that were walking around thinking that they're Jewish and practicing Judaism, because remember, as I said, Judaism goes by lineage, not just by what you practice. So a lot of people walking around acting and living Jewish are actually not Jewish, because at some point in their bloodline, someone just said that they're Jewish and decided that they're Jewish, maybe because they didn't know what the actual rules of being Jewish are. They didn't understand the whole lineage, maternal lineage aspect of it. And maybe just because they didn't care. And then their whole family ended up being raised as Jews, thinking that they're Jews, and then marrying with Jews, and basically continuing that line of people that think they're Jewish, but they're actually not halachically Jewish. So there's been these Kabbalists lately that have been discovering there's just a lot of people in the Jewish community that think they're Jewish, but they're actually not Jewish. And conversely, so Andrew is not Jewish. We have been very open about the fact that he's not Jewish. And we've been just hanging around people here in Jerusalem because people have been very loving and accepting of him. He is, not pretending to be anything he's not. He's just well, I'm not Jewish, and we're doing this thing. We're doing this Jewish stuff, but I'm not Jewish, And he's not pretending to anybody. He's not faking anything. The rules are that our kids are considered halakhically Jewish anyway because it goes by maternal lineage, and my lineage is Jewish. So whether or not either of us are practicing Orthodox Jews, our kids are regarded by the halakhic community as being Jewish anyway. So we've been basically here. We've been in Jerusalem practicing, with people, doing stuff, going to Purim Sudas, whatever. Going to Shabbat meals, participating in stuff with my family, all these things, and I'm just surrounded by Jewish stuff. And so this Kabbalist checked Andrew's bloodline the same way he's checking like I said, there was these Kabbalists that check your bloodline to see if you're like actually Jewish. They do it in like a spiritual way. They have a test. They have like a spiritual test, and they see like, is your maternal line actually Jewish, or are you getting it from your paternal line, or are you just not Jewish at all? And they found that Andrew's maternal line is Jewish, according to their spiritual test. They found, according to this Kabbalistic test, they found that Andrew has a maternal Jewish line. And when me and Andrew heard about this, we were cracking up, because he just is so not, he doesn't look like he has a Jewish cell in his body. He doesn't look or act like he's just, there's like a stereotype that you associate being Jewish with, you know what I mean? And he just is not that. That's why I was attracted to him, in fact, because I was not able to be attracted to anybody in the Jewish community. Even if they were secular Jews, even if I didn't know that they were, there's just a look that people have when they've been breeding within the Jewish community for so many generations, and I was really not attracted to that. Maybe because my own family has stayed in the community for many generations, and maybe like on a biological homeostasis level, my body was trying to like expand the gene pool, whatever the reason was. I just really couldn't get on board with physically being attracted to a Jewish man. Like with the whole idea of getting in bed with a Jewish man, I just couldn't. And again, I'm Jewish, so this is not like a self-hatred or anything. It was more just like, it feels to me like getting in bed with your brother type of thing, I just felt so familiar with the whole Jewish type that I was not able to be attracted to Jewish men. And when I met Andrew, like, part of the insane attraction that I had for him is that he is just so different looking, acting, feeling than like anyone in the Jewish community. He really stands out. Anywhere we go, people look at him, they're excited by him. The women will come to me and be like, oh, your husband is so good looking. I get that a lot, actually. He really stands out. And so, like, it just got me thinking, like, how many people are walking around from a halachic Jewish maternal lineage having no idea that they're Jewish? And how many people are walking around thinking that they're Jewish, having no idea that they're not Jewish, because of this whole, like, test with Judaism? And moreover, when it comes to being off the derech versus not off the derech, how many people are walking around thinking of themselves as like off the derech, or thinking of themselves as like sinners that are in violation? Like, I've just always walked around feeling like I'm in violation, because I've just, stopped following the rules. And, I made myself feel better about it by telling myself, hey, Pardis, we've spent like 24 years of our life completely dedicated to Orthodox Judaism. Like, if God is mad at this, then he's just really unreasonable, because I already like sacrificed so many years of my life for this religion that I really don't care about. Like, I really don't. Like, there's so many issues that I've had, and like, I just feel like it's not just this, it's most religions. I just don't like being part of something that tells me what I have to believe verbatim. Doesn't really allow for like my mind to wander and think the way it wants to. Doesn't allow me to live the kind of lifestyle I want to live. I want to travel the world. I want to eat whatever I want. I want to go in different places. I want to people will be like, oh, you can be Orthodox and live in Indonesia. You can be Orthodox and live in, I don't know, Thailand. Like, they'll kind of say that. Like, you can be Orthodox and live in XYZ place. Look, they have Chabad there. It's not the same. You still are very subservient to this, like, authority that knows better than you. It's still very much this mindset of like, it's just not what I wanted. It's not what I wanted. I don't want to be stuck in that system, and I don't want to go down with that ship. I've been just like walking around and calling myself off the derech, you know, and then discovering that there's a lot of people that consider themselves Orthodox Jewish and calling themselves on the derech, but they're living the same lifestyle as me. And the only difference really is how they identify themselves, you know, how you identify yourself. Do you identify yourself as a sinner? Do you identify yourself as a righteous person, you know? There is no objective test, you know, unless you like go to see one of these Kabbalists that do this like Kabbalistic test to see what your lineage is. There is no objective test that says, you know, I'm the voice of God and you are a sinner. I'm the voice of God and you are righteous. You know, there's no objective test right now that's like doing that, you know? It's really just what you believe you are, and you just tell people you are, and you just identify as, and you walk around thinking you are. That's all being off the derech or on the derech is. And maybe you want to consider yourself off the derech because you just don't want your space and you don't want to be like subservient to all the Orthodox Jewish laws by saying that you're Orthodox Jewish, you know? So I can understand that deeply, because I'm the same way. I just don't want to be beholden to all these rules, because here's the other thing. I'm like the kind of person where if I'm in a place and they have like all kinds of rules, I'm gonna obsessively follow the rules, even if everybody else doesn't. Everybody else is sort of half-ass it and not care. I will care and I'll do it, and it just doesn't feel fair for someone like me to have to be in an environment like that, you know, where like I'm the only one that's like obsessively caring about the rules, and like, you know, I just don't like that. I want to be the person who doesn't care about the rules and who just does whatever I want while everybody else is the little bitch. Like, I want everybody else to like fall for the ship. I don't want to fall for the ship. Okay? So that's just kind of like maybe why I'm really comfortable labeling myself as off the derech. And for anyone who's still wondering, I went to Beis Yaakov, I went to Torah Semes, I went to Seminary Yerushalayim, which is a very Beis Yaakov seminary. When you go off the derech, people will say things like, oh, well, she was never that religious to begin with. Oh, well, she's, you know, like, what's the name? Pardes Sela? Like, is that Arabic? What is that? Was she even that religious? You know, like, people will sort of like, you know, I got this so many times. She has mental issues. Well, which is true, actually. I did have mental issues. You know, but not any more than most people that were around me in that community. You know, she has mental issues. They'll try to like say that they knew already anyways, and that's just, you know, oh, of course you were like that. It's like when someone announces that they're gay and everybody says, oh, I knew this about you anyways. You know, they'll kind of do that. But the truth is that nobody could have predicted that I would have gone off the derech. I was a very, very good student. In the moment, people were like dumbfounded. And later, like, I knew that, you know, she was reading her Newsweek papers, you know, because I would read Newsweek in high school, and, you know, and then they'll kind of use it as like to self, to confirm this bias that they already had, which is like, oh, if you read like a non-Jewish newspaper, it's going to make you go off the derech, which the reality was that like I was reading Newsweek. That was like the most rebellious thing I'd done. There were plenty of girls in my school that were like, you know, talking to boys, going out to parties, you know, doing the things that were really violating the rules. Reading Newsweek was probably very, very benign, at least when I did it, you know. People didn't think anything of it. But in retrospect, they'll always be like, oh yeah, I knew you were always off the derech. I knew, you know, you were doing things that were like gonna lead you astray, you didn't have a faith, whatever, you know. The reality is, like, most religions to me are just full of posers, and they're kind of set up that way. They're set up for it to be for posers. I'm not saying that everyone who's religious is a poser at all. I'm not saying that at all. I wasn't a poser and I was religious, and you know what? I don't think any of my family members are posers. I don't think any of my relatives are posers. I don't think any of my friends are posers. You know, I have a lot of friends that are Orthodox, and we met amazing people here that are not posers. They're just really, really into being religious, being Jewish, and, you know, Jewish law. They're really excited about it. They're like they really care about the rules. They're not just like doing it for someone. They're doing it for God. They have a personal relationship with God that is not necessarily on display for everyone. And the way that I know that is because little things that you notice, that you see when people are like, especially in my position, I'm often in violation, you know, mixing meat and milk, or doing things on Shabbat that are like not, you know, what you should be doing on Shabbat. And I'll be like around like one of our family members or friends or something, and I'll see that they're, you know, even though they're surrounded by people that are not in compliance with the rules, they're like inside of themselves like trying to be in compliance. They're not trying to do it to impress us, because we're not even religious, you know. They're doing it for themselves. They really, really care. And so, like, I'm not saying that everybody is posers. I'm just saying that if you wanted to be a poser, it would be really easy to just slide in and out of communities like that. And if you know, so that's basically the honest truth that I would say about being off the derech, is that you can go your whole life doing whatever you want. I promise you. You can do whatever you want. You could be not Jewish and tell everybody you're Jewish, tell everybody you're Orthodox. Nobody from your shul is going to like single you out from everybody else and say, oh, let me check your pee-pee to make sure that you're actually circumcised the right way. You know? It's just all so mixed up in 2025. It's all so mixed up. You can do whatever you're gonna do. You can, and if you like develop a conscience about it later, you can like do extra like conversion things, you know, just to seal the deal on being Jewish. You can be off the derech. There are so many people, actually, when I started making off the derech videos, people would reach out and say that they're like secretly not keeping Shabbat, or like they secretly don't believe in God and all these things, but they are still wearing a black hat and they're still looking yeshivish or even Hasidish. You know, actually some of my friends are in the Hasidic community. They're still in their community, because it's their family, friends, you know, it's their life, their businesses, you know, and they're still doing stuff in their community, but deep down they don't believe in any of this stuff. Or when they're by themselves, they don't really care about Shabbat. Or maybe they're doing all the things and going through all the motions, but it's like a body with no soul. They're just like not in it. They are past being burned out. They're past where I was. They're like dead. Like, I'm just past being burned out from being religious. You know what I mean? There's like a lot of people like that, and no one can tell you what you are except for yourself. If you decide that you're off the derech, then you can be that. But if you don't want to, you can be whatever you identify yourself as. Is really the truth of all of this. Is like, no religion or external group of people can define you better than you can define yourself. If you decide that you want to be something, that you are something. You can even decide what your gender is. And, you know, it's like kind of crazy because the most objective truth about ourselves is probably our biological selves, like our genitals and stuff. Like, that's probably like the most objective truth. Like the thing that like nobody can deny, that if you have a penis, you're a man. Like, nobody can deny that. But there's still people out there in 2025 that if you go and you say, and maybe entire countries at this point, I don't know, I don't follow the news anymore, but like maybe entire countries now where you can have a penis and you can say, but I'm a girl, and they'll believe you. They'll kind of go along with your agenda because that's what you identified yourself as. In 2025, you can legit say that you are whatever you want to be. You can be whatever you want to be, and nobody can question it. And you just believe it enough and say it enough, nobody can question it. Nobody can get on your case about it. And like, you know, I spent so many years feeling in a box, in a bubble, when I was in the religious community, and feeling like my whole life was destined to me, out of my control, and I have to live a certain way and be a certain way, and other people have control of me. And I still have that residual feeling in me, like part of why I just really avoid people a lot. I really can't like spend too much time around any one person, except for Andrew at this point, and that's like a special case because he's, you know, I've built this trust with him. But that's like my body's truth, is that it's like scared of people controlling me or like defining me, telling me who I am. But the truth is, like, you have it in you. You define yourself. You say what you are. Nobody else can say it better than you. Nobody else will lay down the law on who you are better than you will. You can break all the rules and still be part of a Jewish community if that's what you want. You can not be part of a Jewish community and still do Jewish stuff. I mean, there's like a lot of people that are like doing Jewish stuff that are keeping Jewish law, that are totally unaffiliated. They're not affiliated with the Jewish community. A lot of people in Asian countries, a lot of Christians, a lot of non-affiliated people that are not part of any community that are still keeping Jewish laws, maybe even more stringently than a lot of Orthodox Jews, and they aren't affiliated with the Jewish community. They don't even consider themselves Orthodox Jewish. They just do it because a lot of people think there's gonna be like so many motivations for why people do things. But the bottom line is that you can do whatever you want. And starting a family, like, you can start a family however you want. Your family can be, you know, you're in control of the way you raise your kids, and you don't, you know, Andrew and I, we never got married like the normal way. Everyone that meets us is like, when did you get married? How come I wasn't invited to your wedding? Well, our wedding was, as I posted a video of online, our wedding was literally just an impromptu webcam wedding registered in Utah that we did in the monkey forest in Bali, Indonesia. That's what our wedding was. Our wedding attendees were monkeys. Literally, our wedding attendees were monkeys. And on the webcam, we had two of our friends as witnesses because we needed legal witnesses to be there with the officiator. So that's what we had. And you know what? Like, I just like that so much more. I think I avoided getting married for so long because, like, I didn't want to because I associated getting married with having like a big fancy scary wedding and like financial mergers and all these like official things people do for their weddings in America, you know. So many people are getting divorced and it's a nightmare. But I didn't want to do any of those things. I didn't want to have a whole wedding, spend money. I don't want to have to see people on my happiest day of my, first of all, I don't like people usually, you know? I like people one-on-one. Like, I like my one-on-one connections, but I just don't like people. Like, I don't like to be in a room with a lot of people. I don't like parties. makes me feel unsafe and uncomfortable. Why would I want to feel unsafe and uncomfortable on my supposedly happiest day of my life? No, thank you. So, like, all these things that came associated with like traditional marriage were so unpleasant for me. I didn't want to have to deal with Jewish stuff. I didn't want to have to deal with Christian stuff, because Andrew's side is Christian, but I don't know if they're so religious. I just wanted to do things how I wanted to do it. And then, but I kind of like feel like I walked around acting like I'm not doing it right, when the reality is like, maybe everybody else is doing it wrong. That's the reality. Maybe you can just like get married in a monkey forest. Maybe you don't even have to get married. I mean, maybe you don't even have to get married. We got married because of a few like official legal things, and also like we wanted to be able to travel together and have, because we wanted to have a family together. We want to have babies together. We want our babies to like be considered legally as part of a family unit and not be out in the wind, legally speaking. Like, so there were like a few things that made it favorable for us to have a wedding and get married. But you don't even have to get married. You don't have to like do anything the way that society tells you to do it. And we met people that are not married and they have kids and they're still traveling and it's still fine. So you still don't even have to do it for traveling purposes, In fact, in the Orthodox Jewish community, there are plenty of people that are married religiously, but they're not married legally, because it was like more favorable for them to not get married legally under like US or Israeli or whatever law. So you can even do it like that. There's just so many ways that you can live your life. And as someone who grew up following the rules to a T and having that kind of personality, I really empathize with people who identify themselves as off the derech, because they violated like a few things and they're just like, well, now I'm like off the derech and I have to like, like if I don't want to have the off the derech label, then I have to like do things the right way. And the truth is that you don't have to do things the right way. You can keep your off the derech label if you want to, but if you don't want to, you don't have to. You don't have to explain to anybody why you are Orthodox Jewish and you're texting on your phone on Shabbat. A lot of Orthodox Jews are texting on their phone on Shabbat. You don't have to explain to anybody. You can say, this is my nisayon. This is my test, my challenge that I'm like so stringently working on. You can say whatever you want to say. You don't have to say anything. You never have to explain yourself to anybody. You get to be whatever you decide that you are, and you get to have whatever family you decide that you are. And this is me talking to myself, because I'm so excited to have a family. I'm so excited to meet our future baby. I'm thrilled. I'm above the moon. I almost denied myself this because I was afraid that people that Andrew knew before, his friends and family, were gonna like be pissed off that he's going and starting a family with me. I almost denied myself this because like I didn't want to like piss other people off. Oh, poor other people, poor me. I was literally gonna kill myself like many times just to not piss off other people, because like I just couldn't live a life where I'm stepping on other people's boundaries. So in order to not step on other people's boundaries, I was gonna deny myself certain things, and it led to me almost killing myself several times in Bali as well. And I was pretty serious about it. I had a very serious plan, and I had a plan to give I just, like, that's so stupid. It's so stupid. Looking back, it's so stupid. Like, I didn't want to, like, offend Andrew's, like, family members by spending too much time with him. I didn't want to, like, offend my family by living the life that is different from what they want to live. So I didn't want to, like, offend all these people. And it's not just offend. I didn't want to, like, hurt their feelings. I didn't want to step on their territory. I didn't want to step on their boundaries. I don't want to make them feel bad about, their life, And so my solution, instead of saying, you know what, other people can't be happy if I'm happy, so screw them and cut them off, my solution was, well, I just don't belong on this planet. It really was something that I was pondering for a few months, and I was pretty serious about it. I also, thought that if I can't make it work, then what's gonna happen to the baby? She's gonna be kind of not in a good place, and I don't want to do that to her either, So I really had this whole plan, and I'm really glad that I didn't go through with it. I'm really glad that I decided to say, screw other people. If anyone has trouble with my happiness, then they can go bury themselves, But I shouldn't be the one to do that for them. I shouldn't bury myself for them. Other people should do it for themselves. If they got to a place where they're like, oh my gosh, Pardis is happy, so therefore I can never be happy again. It's not my responsibility to make that call for them. And if you're in a place like me at any point in your life, do whatever you want, but I just want to tell you that, I swear to you, everybody else is a walking illusion of your imagination. They don't matter. They don't matter. Nobody else matters. The most important people that you think matter don't matter. You matter above all else. And if you can't be around other people without putting their needs above yours, then you need to cut them off, because they are literally going to kill you. You are going to kill yourself because of them. And that's a very daunting realization, to know that they could be the nicest person ever. If you're putting their needs above your own, you may get to the point eventually where you kill yourself, and it will be because of them. And I don't think that if they're a nice person that they would want that. If they're not a nice person, then what are you even doing being around them? But if they're a nice person, I don't think they would want that for you. So just realize this, and I know I just got to this really dark place, but it's not dark. I mean, I was actually really excited for it. I was excited to, I've been spent my whole life seeking eternal peace and bliss. What is it called? Eternal peace and happiness. There is no eternal happiness and bliss and peace, whatever. That is more primal than being dead, because when you're not alive anymore, you are in a state of just forever staying the same. You're forever at peace. You don't have to explain yourself to anybody ever. You don't have to feel anything ever again. You don't have to experience anything again. You just get to freeze at where you were when you died, in whatever matter or energy that you died in. And your nervous system is just not sending signals. It's not going haywire. It's just at peace. It's just nothing. It becomes one with nature. It becomes one with the world. And you get to exist in that blissful state forever and never have to go through the chaos of life anymore. And that was very exciting for me. It was very comforting. Yeah. I think part of me was really sad when I had to let go of that dream, because starting a family is you're saying goodbye to that. You're saying goodbye to the dream of disappearing and into eternal peace and happiness and bliss. You're kind of saying goodbye to that dream, because when you have kids, you're also responsible for them. surviving, and you can't make the call of death for like your kids. You might be able to make it for yourself, you know, but you lose the freedom to do that once you have kids. So I think it's also bittersweet to have kids and to get to the point where I'm like deciding for them too. So, you know, once you have kids, I think that forces you to say even more than you did before, to say screw anyone that's not on my ship, you know, screw anyone that's not on board with what I want to do. And it forces you, because since death is no longer an option, you have to be a little more aggressive in the things that you want, because you have kids now and you just can't afford for it to go any other way. So you just have to be a little more assertive and a little more aggressive in saying that you want X, Y, Z, and I just cannot be around anyone who doesn't fully 150% back it or support it. And that's basically where I'm at in this period of my life. You know, whether it's right or wrong according to Judaism or according to like Judaism, because most of people's Judaism is just based on this like, you know, very new age, just new, not the kind of Judaism that my ancestors had, to put it that way. So these artificial ideas that are like kind of like not the way that my ancestors were Jewish. There's no reason for you to live any other way than what feels natural to you, what's in your blood, what works for your family, what you feel like doing. No one will have to answer to the consequences of you living for others but you. You living for others will not reward anyone. No one will have to answer to that except for you. I'm suddenly really craving Caesar salad. But anyways, so I think I'm gonna go and check up on Andrew, see how he's doing. And I really appreciate you guys listening all the way through this video. And I hope I wasn't too heavy. But it felt really good to get that off my chest. God is either extremely petty and unreasonable and has these like really, really arbitrary rules that are part of your ex-religious community or whatever, or God is on your side and God is in you and God believes in you and God is not a person. So just do whatever you want, literally, and know that you're doing the right thing when you do whatever you want, when you do what feels the most coming from within. Your conscience is inside of you, not outside of you. Okay, see you guys in the next video. Goodbye. Andrew is still sleeping, but I'm gonna have a red apple ready for him. Looks like a Fiji apple. And also a cup of coffee with turmeric and cinnamon, so that when he's awake, he can get some of that nice, relaxing, neuroprotective properties and get ready for his day. The rest of his day, because he's been up until this morning. So, yeah. And also, I'm gonna play some piano, which I haven't really been on top of, but lately I've just been getting excited about playing piano because the thought of having a baby soon that I can sing to is so exciting. It makes me feel so motivated to get back on my piano, like really, really, really practice and like get really good at it, even though the baby won't be able to tell if I'm good at it or not. But I think that's part of what makes me motivated, is like having a captive audience that won't be able to tell the difference between whether I'm singing good or not good. Like, I don't know, babies and animals, like you can just sing however you want in front of them and they're just like the best audience. So I'm just really excited for that. I'm excited to sing her to sleep when she's crying or colicky. And so I'm gonna practice for that. And I already know that she likes it because either she likes it or she hates it, I don't know, but whenever I play piano now, I see my belly kicking. So I already know that either she really is excited when I'm playing or she's trying to get out of my belly. Probably the first one. And another thing that I'm really excited about is that we're moving. And so we're moving to a place that's going to be a little bigger. It's like right now our place is, first of all, so annoying to vlog in because like I like to have my own little corner to vlog in, but like even though Andrew knows everything I'm gonna say because I talk to him all day about it, like I just like to have my own private little corner where I feel like I can be as loud as I want and I'm not disturbing anybody, and I can talk about whatever I want to talk about, and I want it to be like variable. And I just feel like this place is like, we've been in this like one big room, not even big, it's like this one little room. There's no storage space, everything is kind of sitting out, it looks messy, there's no like decorative, it's not so decorative, it's just very functional. And so I'm just really excited to move to a new place where it's going to be more authentically old Jerusalem style. Very, very cute place, like special, very special place. Sorry. And we'll have more space to do stuff. Andrew will have more space to work and stretch out his legs when he's working. And there's gonna be a piano, like a real piano there. I'm so excited about that. And there's gonna be like a cute little balcony, you know, it's pretty Jerusalem style, you know, it's gonna be a lot of stone everywhere, big kitchen to work with, space for, you know, family and friends to come visit when they come. And yeah, I'm just very, very, very excited about all that. So I'm excited to show you guys, hopefully soon. You're just